I'm going to continue the lesson from last week about faith, and we're going to be starting at Matthew chapter number 17, verse number 20. And it says here, "And Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible to you." Verse 21 says, "Howbeit this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting." Prayer and fasting. Now, we talked about faith a lot last week. We talked about faith being the currency of the kingdom. And this week we're going to talk more about faith and how you work your faith. Okay? There's a big clue here in verse 21 that I really haven't heard many preachers talk about, where it says here, "Howbeit this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting." Now, in this ministry here, we fast every Thursday, and we've been doing that for a number of years now, where Thursdays are our fast days. I think it is imperative that you establish in your ministry a time of fasting. And I know many churches do. Some do it maybe once in a while, but I think it is necessary to be on a schedule where everyone is corporately fasting on a continual basis. So we generally fast on Thursdays, simply because that's the day that we have Bible study, and we've always done that since the establishment of this ministry. And part of that reason is because of what it says here in verse number 21. This kind of faith to move mountains comes because you have fasted, or you have a habit of fasting. It also says here prayer and fasting, and those two go hand in hand. Prayer and fasting go hand in hand. We talked about the fact last week that you need to build up your kingdom currency, and this is how you do it. This is the work of the kingdom. This is the work of the kingdom, so that you have the faith currency that we talked about last week. Prayer and fasting is the key to you having the level of faith that you desire. It's not a mystery. It's not magic. It's simply prayer and fasting. And again, I think it is proper to state that you should do it on a regular basis. Prayer and fasting, like I said last week, when you have something catastrophic in your life, with your friend or family member, or even to yourself, that is not the time to try to build up your kingdom currency. It's imperative that you bank that kingdom currency and have it at the ready, so when something happens, that you're ready to spend that kingdom currency. So prayer and fasting is almost like having a faith bank account. Now, I know I'm stretching a little bit, but I'm trying to use words and trying to make it so it's understanding to you that it's like banking faith. It's like building up a bank account of faith. So when you're communicating with God and fasting, in other words, fasting is simply it's simply denying the flesh. All right? And I'll talk about it just for a brief second. We live in a society where flesh rules. Where, there was a saying once back in the day, if it feels good, do it. And you see a lot of people doing that today, whether it be, in their lifestyle as far as sex is concerned. If it feels good, do it. Drugs, if it feels good, do it. If you feel like the alternative lifestyle fits you better, if it feels good, do it. That was the slogan of the day some time ago, and you see the manifestation of it in the world we live in now. But what fasting does is it allows you to come in control of fleshly desires. Many times, and this is where you can really comprehend this, when you get hungry, and fasting is dealing with the flesh, because when your stomach rumbles, if you're hungry and you smell some food, or you drive past a fast food restaurant, it begins to talk to you. It begins to speak to you, just like everything else does in the flesh. Just like Satan speaks to you, it begins to speak to you. You're hungry, you need to get something to eat. Your body will convince you that you're about to pass out if you don't get something to eat. Right? Your body will cause you to eat things that you know are contrary to your health. Your body will cause you to eat something, and you know you have high blood pressure, but you still pouring the salt on. All right? And you wait, and because you're relying on the flesh, you eat that salt, and then you go to the doctor and get high blood pressure pills, because you have no control over your flesh. I'll give you another one. You're way overweight because you refuse to allow yourself to deny the flesh. You see the cake, eat it. Whatever it may be for you, whatever your weakness is, you see it because you can't deny the flesh. We're not just going to talk to the sick people and overweight people. We're going to talk to the people who can't deny their flesh when it comes to dating. You're dating and you can't deny the flesh. So now you're planning to get married because she's pregnant. Because you couldn't deny the flesh. Fasting brings your flesh under subjection. Your stomach should never tell you what to do. Your sex drive should never tell you what to do. You are in control. You are supposed to tell them what to do. Here's another thing for you. You can't control yourself, but then you want to control your children. It's interesting because kids are smart. They realize, well, mom and dad can't control themselves. They do whatever they want to do, but yet they want to tell me what I should be doing and want to stop me from what I should be doing. It's an oxymoron. You want to control others, but you don't want anything to control you. You can't control yourself. Fasting allows you to be able to control yourself, and when Satan is talking to you, you can overcome Satan because you have total control. He's not. See, what you have to understand is that Satan knew your great-great-great-great-grandfather. He knew your great-great-great-grandmother. He knew Uncle Steve and Uncle Benny and Aunt Susie. He knows all of them. You don't think he knows what's in you? When he knows what's in you, he knows exactly what to tempt you with. See, I'll tell you, I've always liked speed. I like cars. I like fast cars. I like motorcycles. I've ridden motorcycles. I've owned several. So Satan cannot tempt me to go into debt over a boat. He's not even going to present that to me. He's not going to present a yacht to me that I can't afford and tempt me, because yachts are beautiful. I've seen some beautiful looking yachts. It's like, wow, it must be something to live on something like that, or to be on vacation on something that beautiful. But I'm not in no way, no how tempted to purchase one. And not any kind of way. It doesn't tickle my desires at all. But you show me a 200-mile-an-hour motorcycle. Now you have my attention, and my mind may start to calculate how I can afford it. Well, you can pull a little money from here, a little money from there, and you can maybe not do this or miss this vacation and pay for the motorcycle. Because that is temptation for me. Speed, temptation for me, or pretty cars, temptation for me. All right? Do you not know that Satan works through your desires? He works through those things that tempt you the most. He's not going to present you with something that means nothing to you. He knew your great-great-grandfather liked to race. That's why little Timmy liked to race. He got it from his great-great-grandfather. Don't you know Satan been around a long time? He knows you. He knows your generations. He's not going to present something to you that's not going to tempt you. And the way that you deal with that is by fasting. You see, before Jesus went out into the wilderness to be tempted, he fasted. He denied the flesh so that whatever was presented, it was no temptation to him. Satan should not be able to tempt you with anything. Because I've said this before, that the only thing Satan can do to you, because people tell you that, like Flip Wilson used to say, the devil made me do it. And we laughed at that, but the devil could never make you do anything. Amen. The only thing the devil can do is show you a picture. We talked about that a little bit last week, how when I told my father, when he said they diagnosed him with cancer, the only thing a doctor can do is take the x-ray and put it up on the screen and point to a blob on the screen and suggest to you that you have cancer. And you have faith, you have more faith in the doctor and the blob on the screen than you have in God. Jesus. Because Jesus said, I am your healer. So you have more faith in what the doctor said. And even some of these sicknesses and diseases you can't see. That they can't take an x-ray and show you. They tell you you have diabetes. You have more faith in the diabetes than you have in your God. And all you heard was some words. So all you heard was words. Or on the screen, all you see is a blob on the screen. And if you're not medically trained, you don't know what it is. All you see is a spot on the screen. And because your doctor has interpreted to be cancer, you go with it. And then you use your own faith to manifest it. Because you start talking about it. The Bible tells you you can have what you say. You start talking about it, and as you talk about it, you help to manifest that thing. You give life to it. Anything you talk about, you give life to. Anything you talk about, you give life to. So fasting allows you to overcome messages. I'll give you another. When Jesus had fasted and was out in the wilderness and Satan was tempting him, it is interesting to me that Satan tempted him with what was already his. Isn't that interesting? That Satan said, if you bow down to me, I'll give you all the kingdoms of the world. Huh? Think about this. Any of you watching this program or sitting here, if I say to you, if you bow down to me, I'll give you your house. most ridiculous thing you could ever hear is someone to say, if you worship me, if you bow down to me, I'll give you what's already yours. I can only imagine what was going through Jesus' mind. You're going to tempt me with what already belongs to me. You're going to give me all the kingdoms of the earth. I'm already the king. You already reign and rule with Christ. You need to start behaving like it. See that your problem is that you'll believe your friend's word, but you won't believe God's word. He said he gave you all things pertaining to life and godliness. He tells you that he'll supply all your needs through his riches and glory. He's already told you that he's your healer. He's your El Shaddai, your provider. He's already told you those things. It's already yours. The problem is you believe more what the doctor has said than you believe what God has said. You believe more what society says than you believe what your word says. This faith currency comes into, and this fasting is how you believe and whether or not you can control your flesh, control your mind, control your speech. Because all Satan does is give you a suggestion. I learned this the hard way. I've learned it in several situations where Satan will show me something. And then when he shows me, I'll start talking about and giving life to. There's some things you need to stop talking about. Okay, the doctor said you have cancer, and he's a trained professional. I get that. I do. I get that. If a doctor said that to me, I would get that. But my approach to it may be different than yours. Because my approach is, I'm going to follow up with the doctor. I'm going to, go and have whatever he asked me to go and have. But at the same time, I'm going to believe God and what God says in his word, and that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about the cancer. Because I'm not going to give life or any advantage to the devil over me. And see, I can tell you, speaking life and speaking faith is not easy to do. It's not easy to do. Because you've been trained all your life from birth to say what comes to mind pretty much. You've been trained to say, I'm broke. I'm not feeling well. You've been trained to look at situations and say, that's not going to go well. You've been trained to hear something about layoffs on your job and you say, well, they're going to start laying off people. You're trained to speak things even when you don't know if there's any real truth in it. You're trained to speak those things and to have conversations about it and get with coworkers and start talking about, well, I heard they was laying off. I can tell you through life experience, when I was younger and didn't know much, I did the same thing. I would have people tell me something just to see the reaction. Don't you know people tell you some things just to see your reaction? Just to get you in trouble? Just to mess with you? Just to see how you're going to react? The devil wants to train you to believe that all what I'm telling you today is bunk. So he just shows you a different picture. He shows you a picture of you dying. He shows you a picture of your marriage not going well. He shows you a picture of your child in jail. You take these pictures and you run with them. Fasting allows you to get better control over processing what you see. Because I'm going to tell you what happens. Your eyes are the window to the soul. So the devil will show you something. It will go down in your spirit. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So what you need to do is guard your heart. When I was a kid, I was on a Sunbeams choir. We had a song that we sang, be careful little eyes what you see. Be careful little ears what you hear. There's a Father up above and he's looking down below. Be careful. So what I'm telling you, you have to be careful who you're listening to. You have to be careful what you're looking at, because television suggests a whole lot of stuff to your spirit. Have you noticed that every other commercial on TV is about some medicine? Now here's what gets me. You're advertising a medication to heal one symptom and kill you with another. They'll tell you about the medication and how it can help you with one symptom, but then in their disclosures will tell you how it's going to kill you. How if you start having this, make sure you run to your doctor and let them know that the medicine is starting to have an effect on something else in you. You have to guard your ears. In my household, when those commercials jump on talking about people coming down with certain diseases and how the percentages, we turn the TV off or just turn it down until that commercial's gone. Because that stuff is feeding into your spirit. When you allow things through that gate, it goes into your ears and your eyes. It goes into your heart, and out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You can only speak what's in your heart. So it's imperative that you make sure that you don't have death in your heart. Because if you believe God's word, the word says, what you speak, you can have. That's what your word says. So people start talking about things that are going on in the country and talking about sickness and talking about alternative lifestyle. They're giving life to it. You're giving life to it. You have to speak what God says. You can kill a devil with your tongue. When Jesus was in the wilderness and Satan tempted him, when Jesus showed him that he could not be tempted, the Bible says that the devil left from him. He left. You want the devil to leave you alone? All you have to do is deny yourself. Deny that flesh. Don't let yourself listen to it. Don't speak about it. He'll flee from you. People come to me sometime and give me private prayer requests. And I can tell you sometimes people are shocked what I say. When I tell them stop giving life to it. When I start saying pray about it and take it to the Lord and leave it there. And speak the opposite. When your husband's not acting right, start speaking the thing. Start speaking the right thing. Let me tell you something. Men were created in the image of God. God likes praise. Start praising him, man. I know he's done some terrible things. I know he's done some bad things to you. But start praising him and see if it won't turn around. If you tell a man he did something well, he will do it twice. I guarantee you. That's how we're designed. See, God will give you wisdom on how to deal with situations. It's okay to ask for people to pray for your relationship and pray for what's going on in your life, but there's a lot of stuff you can do on your own. There's a lot of stuff you can do on your own. Pray to God for some wisdom. Stop praying about your husband and pray for wisdom. You pray for wisdom and God tells you what he just told you. You praise that man and watch and see how things begin to change with him. Because that's all he's looking for is prayer. A lot of times, these brothers out here, they're just looking for somebody to lift them up. Society will beat them up. They're looking for somebody to lift them up. Or should I say society will beat them down. They're looking for somebody to lift them up. So anyway, fasting brings the flesh under subjection so that you tell the flesh how to feel. You tell the flesh what to say. And that's why we fast in this ministry on a weekly basis. And I can tell those who fast and those who don't. Because if you don't fast, you will snap jump to whatever happens to you in life and start speaking the wrong thing. When you have subjection, when you have your flesh under subjection, and you know that you shouldn't speak that thing, you have power to shut your mouth. Let me give you one other thing, and we're going to move on this faith thing. It is good to have a partner that will check you. My wife checks me if she hear me say something. The other day we were in a meeting, and we with some, with our business partners, and we said something about money, and I said something about myself going broke, and my wife stopped me right in the meeting. It was a slip of the tongue, because I spoke something over my situation that shouldn't have been said. And even though I was kind of jesting at the time, I spoke something over my situation that I shouldn't have said, and she corrected me immediately. And when she corrected me, right there in the meeting, I changed what I said. Some of you need to change what you're saying. You don't need a whole host of people praying for you, and I'm not saying don't get prayer. What I'm saying is your change, your situation is in your mouth. You can change some things by speaking it, and a lot of times by not speaking it. Stop telling everybody, "Oh, girl, I don't feel good. My bursitis is acting up." That's not what you speak. What you speak is like, I'm doing okay. I'm going to be all right. I'm believing God for some things. What's wrong with speaking the positive instead of trying to make everybody feel sorry for you? You may get some satisfaction of people fawning over you and feeling sorry for you, but you're not going to get healed. You might feel a little more satisfied because somebody rub your back and said, I feel for you, but you won't get healed from that. You need to speak life over yourself. Speak over yourself. Okay? So when we talk about faith and moving these mountains, fasting and prayer is the key. It's the key to it. We're going to flip over real quick to Matthew verse 21. It says, "And Jesus answered and said unto them, Verily I say unto you, if you have faith and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree." This is about when Jesus cursed the fig tree. "But also if ye shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be cast into the sea, it shall be done." Some of you have mountains in your life? You have a mountain of cancer. You have a mountain of debt. You have a mountain of children not doing what they're supposed to do. He's giving you the whole thing right here. It says you can move a mountain, but you got to have faith and doubt not. You need that kingdom currency. And you say, "Well, Pastor, I've been believing." What you believe in your heart and what you say out of your mouth is two different things. There's a conflict. Because if you're believing that your child is going to stop misbehaving, then that's what you should be speaking. Every time I talk to you, you should be talking about how much trouble there is. We need to talk about what we expect to see. You give life to it. Stop talking about your parent having some disease. Well, mama has this, that, and the other, so we got to look after her. Okay, yeah, look after her, but keep declaring she's healed. My mother's in a nursing home, and the doctors have diagnosed her with Alzheimer's. But when I see her, when I go to the nursing home and see her, I said, "You're looking better. Amen. You're getting better every day." All right? Now, truth be told, the picture that I see does not say that. What I see doesn't say that. But what I say and believe is a whole other thing. You have to practice your faith. This is what I was talking about last week. See, you believe in faith at the size of a grain of mustard seed. That's why you can't get these things done. Because your faith is little. Oh, ye of little faith. That's a rebuke. That wasn't a praise. You got a little tiny bit of faith and you can move mountains. That's not what this is saying. It's not what this is saying. This said, if you have faith and doubt not, you should not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also you should say to this mountain. I want to talk about mountains for a minute. My pastor said this is the year of moving mountains. This is a moving mountain message for you. This is a moving mountain message for you. If you have a mountain to move, I'm giving you this morning the formula to move that thing. I want to talk about for a minute mountain development. If you look at a little bit of geology or look it up on the internet, mountains are created due to heat and seismic activity. Heat and seismic activity. So I believe when God talked about you moving mountains, He's talking about that thing in your life that has been developed over anxiety and different situations in your life, that this thing, due to the shifting of circumstances in your life, has developed into a mountain. Notice something. Mountains start, the ground is flat before something becomes a mountain. And you'll notice, if you could go way back in history, the mountains you see today at one point in time were hills. And before they were hills, it was flat ground. It was smooth. How many of y'all want your life to be smooth? And it was the shaking and the friction that caused the mountain to begin to develop into a hill and eventually a mountain. It comes because rocks and tectonic plates rubbing together. Friction. Some of your mountains are due to friction in your life. Now, I want to say something. Oftentimes, many of you won't walk away from the friction in your life. That friend that calls you and always causing friction. That co-worker that you hobnob with that's always causing friction. Right? That drug that you just have to have, and those cigarettes you need to smoke, is causing friction in your body. Those things you are eating that you know are contrary to your health is causing friction in your body. And then that thing develops into a mountain because you can't control your appetite. Every time you sit down at the table, you just need to eat. It is amazing to me. I have known people in my life, and I'm just an observant type of person. I will look at people and observe things. And I'm also just as observant of myself, because I'll tell you in a minute, I shouldn't have did that. I watch people that suffer with ailments in their body that's due to their consumption, and the church has a dinner, and you sit there and you watch them go out of control. Out of control. Or you go to how the plate is piled up with everything, and they can't seem to understand how the mountain developed. Notice this about a mountain. Mountains are not developed overnight. It's a buildup of pressure and friction over time. Mountains are developed. You don't wake up one morning and there's a new mountain outside. That doesn't happen. Your finances did not get in that situation overnight. There was a mountain developed. And I heard that. Somebody said, well, I didn't know they was going to lay me off. No, it has nothing. Let me tell you something. Your layoff has absolutely nothing to do with your mountain. Nothing. I'll tell you, one time, I left the job under unfavorable circumstances, but I came into my church and I said, you know what? I'm going to take off the next 6 months. Bought a new car while I was off. When those 6 months were up, well, almost up, I went and interviewed for a job. The 6 months were going to be July. It was May when I interviewed. They asked me when I wanted to start working. I stuck to what I said. I said July. And what's interesting is the lady looked at me and she said to me, don't say July either. How she knew, I don't know. But she said, don't say July. I said, that's exactly what I was thinking. Do you not know that company paid me to stay home? She told me, she said, okay, I'm going to put this in. I don't know if they're going to wait till July or not. I went home. I flew home that Friday. But when I got home, I had an email saying that I had gotten the job. Not only did it say that I had gotten the job, but they were going to, my start date was not the beginning of July, but the end. I stayed home exactly 6 months. Now, I want to show you something else. Here's where you know it's God. They hired me immediately, and I sat home for 2 months getting paid from my new job. Every 2 weeks, I got a paycheck and never lifted a finger. See, your mountain was developed through the friction you created in your own spirit that came out your mouth. Oh, they doing layoffs now. I guess, I don't know what's going to happen. Keep talking that. You spoke that into existence. Now you're at the church asking people to pray for you. Does anybody know anybody hiring? All that kind of stuff. Because you spoke it. How many of you all know companies that lay people off, but everybody don't get laid off? How about you be the only one on your team or in your section that don't get laid off? How about speaking that? Lord, I done gave 18 years of this place. Let me finish out my time here. I like it here. I'm used to. Why don't you speak that? You may be the only one. I've heard of people, they're the only one that don't get laid off. Everybody else in that section is gone, and they put you in a new section, give you a new title. I've heard of people going to a new section, getting a new title, and getting a raise while everybody else got laid off. That's favor. Favor and faith. See, so what I'm saying to you, your finances didn't get there overnight. That was a mountain that developed over time because you couldn't control yourself because you lacked fasting and prayer. So you bought the thing. You bought everything you saw. Now you have a mountain of debt because of lack of self-control. A lack of self-control. I learned a long time ago that I had to have some self-control. I bought my house, paid it off in 9 years. I had a 10-year loan, paid it off in 9 because I had to have some self-control. And I spoke that thing, and I'll tell you that 9th year, because I have been saying in the 8th year, I kept telling my wife, I said, we're going to pay this house off. We're going to pay the house off. I don't know how I'm going to do it. We're going to pay the house off. Because we need to come up with a whole year's worth of payments to send these people so we can pay it off a year early. We're going to pay the house off because we got some things we're trying to do. We're going to pay this house off. And I just kept saying it. We kept talking about it. We kept decreeing it. Until we got that money together and we sent them that last payment. We sent them a whole year and some months all at one time, said here. And that mountain was removed based on what I said. Some of y'all can speak to your debt right now, and God will take care of it. But instead of speaking to your debt, instead of speaking to the mountain, you're talking about the mountain. You're giving life to the mountain. I decree and declare to you right now, if you start saying something different, you'll receive something different. I give you my faith stories and my personal business just so you can get an example of someone who has lived it. People who know me know what I'm saying is true. You can speak to a mountain and that thing be removed. A mortgage is usually the biggest mountain in most people's lives. That mountain of debt that hangs over your head for 30 years. And some people never get rid of that mountain. I know people in their 60s and 70s, they're still paying for their house. They bought it 35, 40 years ago. I know people that have gone out and the house is paid for or almost paid for, and they mortgaged the house to buy cars. You done bought all your kids cars, and that mountain's just growing. Now you 65 years old and you can't retire because you have a mountain that you need to climb. A mountain of debt. I'll tell you what First Aid tells me sometimes. You need to stop yourself. You create mountains. But I'm here to tell you this morning, it's not too late. If you create a mountain, you can speak to that mountain. Yes, sir. And that mountain will be thou removed and cast into the sea. I want to show you something else about the mountain. I'm giving you some physical characteristics to help you understand what the scripture is trying to say to you. When Jesus spoke to the fig tree, the disciples came back the next day and said, it is dried up from the root. Dried up from the root. So what was spoken to was the thing that you cannot see. What was spoken to was the thing that you cannot see. Okay? So let me make this plain to you. Your debt situation or your health situation is often something you cannot see. You don't know where the diabetes came from. You think it came down through your family. Right? You don't know where it came from. So that is a thing that you're speaking to that you can't see. When Jesus cursed the fig tree, he spoke to the root of the thing. Let me show you something else. The mountain in your life. Mountains begin underground. You cannot see the development of the mountain until the mountain starts sticking up. Until it becomes a hill and then eventually becomes a mountain. You have to speak to the root. You have to speak to what developed that thing. Mountains are developed through tectonic plates and pressure. Where is the pressure in your life? You need to speak to that. And most of the time, the pressure in your life is due to what's in your heart. You need to find what was feeding your heart and speak to that. Okay, Pastor, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Let me give you some examples of what speaks to your heart. Your friend is always calling you on the phone. They speaking to your heart. And out of the abundance of the heart, your mouth keeps speaking back. And all along, you developing that mountain. Whether it's sickness or debt. The cars, I told you, I like cars and motorcycles. When the commercial comes on television or across my Facebook feed or on the internet, the latest car that comes out, that speaks something to me. And then out of the abundance of my heart, if I begin to speaking about that car, that bike, and I go and pay for it, and the mountain of debt begins to grow in my life. I have fed that thing because I keep looking at it. And as I look at it, it goes into my heart. And as it goes into my heart, it comes out my mouth. And then I wind up in the dealership signing a contract And then when that mountain of debt, it didn't develop overnight. You saw, you spoke, and then you had. You can do just the opposite. See the root, speak to it, and demolish it. I saw the debt of the mortgage, and I spoke about it. I told you all in last week's message that the building where our church is in, the property here with the apartment building, we spoke to this and paid it off. We spoke to it, and the bank said, we'll donate the entire property to you. We spoke to that thing. Call me crazy, but we went from renting a place to worship to owning a place to worship. Now, you believe what you want to believe. I'm telling you right now that you can speak to your mountains. I'm speaking what the word says. You can speak to your mountains and they'll be removed. But you got to fast and pray, learn how to recognize the root of that thing, and speak to the root. You speak to the thing that you cannot see. Let me give you another one. When they were on the boat and on the ship and they came and woke Jesus up, the Bible says he spoke to the wind. When the last time any of y'all saw wind? He spoke to the root of it. See, you have to understand the storm, the wind blows. That's what causes the sea, the waves to happen in the sea. So you see him speaking to the wind, and then you hear the Bible saying, then the waves ceased. He spoke to the thing he could not see in order to make the thing that they were experiencing in their life to cease, which were the waves. And they were all astonished. See, I'm kind of observant about things. I would have noticed that he spoke to the wind and the water stopped. I mean, after I got over the fact that it actually happened. At some point, I'd have been like, he spoke to the wind and the sea stopped. He spoke to the tree and the roots dried up. He's saying you can speak to your mountain, the pressure that's causing your mountain, and it can be thou removed and cast into the sea. I don't care if it's a mountain of debt. I don't care if your mountain is sickness. I don't care if your mountain is a wayward child. I don't care if the mountain is problems in your marriage. You can get that thing under control by speaking. What's in your heart? This is a heart issue. If you can develop your heart properly, you can speak properly, and things will change. Yes. What are you feeding yourself? Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little ears, what you hear. There's a Father up above that is looking down below. Be careful. Be careful what you say. Careful what you allow your eyes to listen to. I'm going to tell you this, some of the people in your phone, you need to cut them off. You need to cut them off. I'll be perfectly honest with you. There are people that call my phone. When I see who it is, I put the phone down. I don't want to hear things spoken into my ear that will go into my heart and come out of my mouth. I've learned to have control over that. There are people in your family, every time they call you, you know they call it with some mess. You know it. You know it. Girl, that man of yours, and this, that, and the other, and they just stirring up the pot, stirring up your heart. Right? So you can speak the wrong thing out of your mouth. Get to the root of that thing and start speaking to the root of that thing and get your marriage straight. Your marriage is not going to get straight through arguing and fussing about the mountain. My debt didn't get paid off by talking about the debt. My debt got paid off by talking about what I was going to do to the debt. The debt is gone. The debt is going away. I'm going to pay it off. God's going to make a way. He's going to fix it somehow. And God did fix it. And we were able to send that entire year and some months payment, and debt gone. Mountain removed. You got to learn what to say. You want your faith to work? That's that faith currency I'm talking about. Jesus. Right? Fasting and prayer. So that you can control your tongue. So that you can control your eyes. So that you can control your ears. And then begin to feed yourself with what you want. I want the debt paid off. That's what I'm going to feed my spirit. I want my child to act right. That's what I'm going to feed my spirit. And that's what I'm going to feed my child's spirit. You want your husband to act right, your marriage to get right. I'm going to feed that into my marriage. Honey, you looking good today. You look tired today. Is there something I can do for you? You're a good man. You know, I know we got some issues, but you always seem to come through. You always seem to take care of business. You always seem to make it happen for us. There are some things that you can talk your way into a better situation. You cannot fight your way into a better situation in your marriage, but you can talk your way into a better situation. Speak to that thing. Use your faith currency and see your mountain move.